Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Dirty Chai Club. I'm Jasmine, and today we're diving into this two-part of this little India series that we've started. We're going to do the after. I know it's a little while after I got back from India, I think the end of January, mid to end of January, and it's been a lot of catching up with work and it's been a little bit nonstop for our family. So Tina and I are finally getting a chance to record this part two. If you listen to part one, you know that I was headed back to India after almost 10 years, and I was carrying a lot of nostalgia. I had some expectations and honestly some anxiety about all the things that have changed because I haven't been going frequently. I have hearing things differently from people that do go frequently and then seeing things differently online. Well, I went, I saw, I experienced all of it, and today we're unpacking everything.
Well, everyone, hi, my name is Tina, and if you're new here, I'm Jasmine's co host and cousin, and the person who tries to keep her honest about her actual feelings and not just what she thinks she should be feeling. As you already know, today's conversation is going to be good because it's about Jasmine and everything she's been holding back until we recorded today about her trip to India.
Yeah.
So, before anything else, let's dive right in. Um, so Jasmine, the last time we spoke, it was about 10 years before since your last visit to India. What was the very first moment when you realized, like, dang, things have really changed?
I guess it would have to be as soon as you kind of get into the airport there. It felt different, and I don't know if it's because I've gone on a couple trips to Europe, but it felt a little bit European to me. When you get out on the street too, just having access to Ubers so quickly without, the typical rush that you felt
Yelling for
when
a
you
taxi?
yes, or, like,
Yeah.
trying to find a taxi, and it's like, you weren't sure if it was unreliable, like oh, the first thing actually I remember was I didn't see any ambassadors, and that used to be, like, the go-to car for India for, like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know, decades, right? Do you remember that ambassador looking like that old car from when we went, like, years ago? It
It
looked
was like
like
square looking. Yeah.
yeah, that square looking car, and that was a taxi of India, like,
Dogs.
anywhere you went, like, that was it.
Yeah.
So, I didn't see any of those, and I was very surprised by that as soon as I got off the plane.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you on the airport. They've definitely done a lot of remodeling and all of that, but it was very classy, but at the same time, like so modern, not compared to like when I had first even gone like my first few trips when I was younger. And I was like, where are we? Like so much loud. No, it was just chaotic. And I think now it's like even just the entrance to the airport is like nice and calm and like it's just a very different vibe. So I
Mhm.
definitely agree with you on that. But on the flip side of that, what was something that felt the same? Like made you be like, "Oh yeah, I remember. Like this is no time has passed. It's still all the same."
I mean, we're just gonna go right back to transportation, but, like, going into rickshaws, so freaking fun.
I mean, those are always fun. But like how was the kids? Like how were the kids? Like this was their first experiences, I'm assuming, right? Being in a rickshaw?
Uh, yeah, so first experience being in a rickshaw, they loved India. Even now, they're like, "We going India, mommy?" And I'm like, "No, not
No.
today and not tomorrow. We're not going." We will go back for sure more frequently now, but they just loved it. I think that they were just a freedom to their schedule, right? Here they're very like scheduled. And so they're, we have a wake up time, we have a daycare time, we have a dinner time, we have like bath time, we have
Right.
bedtime.
Bedtime.
So it's very structured here. And you get off the plane and it's like the middle of the night or whatever. And so they're
Hmm.
just wide awake. And that wide awake stayed like the whole time. So they would wake up sometimes early, sometimes later, and I would like let them take 4-hour naps sometimes in the afternoon.
Jeez.
We would go out to eat ice cream at like 11, 12 like in the midnight. We'd take the kids out to eat ice cream because they're awake, we're awake, no
But
one's sleeping.
in India, that's like normal. That's when
Yeah, it
people are
is.
awake. The city's bustling at like 11, 12 o'clock.
It is, yeah. And so
Yeah.
they just loved all that freedom. They loved not having car seats in the car. They're just running amok in the back of in the back of a car. Tax or the rickshaws, they loved it, like the open feeling of the rickshaws.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just loved it. And I feel like that stuff with the transportation in a way, it just did feel like it's exactly the same, like the traffic and there's no lanes and in a
Honking.
way, yeah, honking, all of that is the same.
Well, at least they enjoyed it. I think that's one thing that you guys can still agree upon or like have the same vision, I guess you can say, right? Like, is that
Yeah.
they
They're gonna
still,
have they have the same experience I had.
yeah, yeah, they're gonna
Mhm.
really enjoy that.
Besides the springy seats of the ambassador cars, same experience.
I mean, because now you're like driving more luxurious, right? Even like the Uber cars and stuff. Even when my parents were there, they're like, "Oh no, all the Uber rides and everything is like you're in nice cars. You're not in like a hodgepodge car that you're like, if we get hit, what's happening?" Like, there's no question.
I'll be
Um,
honest, I did book a couple of those.
uh-huh. Oh, you did.
I did, because I was like, "We're just going down the road, and it's either I pay the same amount to a rickshaw or I pay the same amount to, like, a closed car."
Yeah.
And because of the pollution, I was just like, "Let's just pay the same amount to a closed car." And it'd be this, like, a little bit rickety car, and Misha's just, like, looking at me, and then later on, he's, like, looking through our Ubers, and he's like, "That's why." And I'm like, "That's why." It was
Yeah.
me.
Hi.
I But then you look at the credit card bill and it's like $2. Like, because it's charged
Yes.
in dollars. So
Right,
you look
right.
at the credit card bill and it's $2, $5, $3 to take a rickshaw or like Uber.
Yeah.
Just the I don't know why I was being silly about some cents here and there, but you know, when you're dealing with a different
It makes a
currency, sometimes it
difference.
feels like yeah, and sometimes it feels like you're spending a lot, and sometimes it
Yeah.
feels like you're not spending anything because you're like
Yeah.
sometimes you're doing the math and sometimes you're not. So
You mean when you're shopping, you're doing the math, and then when you're not? Or is it
Yes.
Yep, same. I get it.
Yeah. I
Um,
girl mathed. I
so,
had some intense, insane shopping girl math.
I mean, when you're in
Spent a lot of
India, it's
money.
like, do you even math? Like, is the math mathin', right? Is where I think about it because you don't get that
So if I
opportunity very often.
No, you don't. And you don't get to touch and feel everything, right? You can buy Indian clothes online. Prices, even
Yeah.
some websites that you can get from are like somewhat comparable to things that you can actually buy there, but you don't get to touch and feel the materials of stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't get to see like the finishing work. Like I bought a really expensive couple of outfits last year online, and when you put them on, they're like ridiculously uncomfortable because of how they're designed and like
Yeah.
where they're putting like plastic borders. So I got to feel all that, touch all that. When I came back and I like quantified everything, the kids had way more clothes that I bought for them than I bought for myself, which is fine. I don't care. But yeah, because for them especially, they didn't have a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm touching and feeling and making sure it's not itching, scratching, and they're like, "Mommy, I like it. I'll wear it." And I'm like, "You better."
You better. Well, and the good thing is now they both like wearing Indian clothes too, right? So I think that's like the great thing about that as well is that they're actually enjoying it. And they'll see it. They'll wear it. But one of the things was like, a lot of people say India has basically leapfrogged into digital era, right? Did you feel like that? Was it like influencer life everywhere or, coffee shops that were just set up so you can like make a reel? How did you feel about that like out there? Because I see a lot of videos online and stuff. So what was it really like? I guess you can say like feet on the ground, right?
So I would say that some of the more nicer restaurants and coffee shops, they were made with that Insta vibe in mind, especially when we were in like Gandhinagar or Ahmedabad, like the city areas, and you're trying to look up a nice restaurant, and those are the ones that pop up. Because and that's how they're even like advertising them is through social media and Instagram, and
Hmm.
they're probably getting influencers to come in and say like the most Instagrammable brunch spot in Ahmedabad is, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So I definitely like got that vibe and got that feeling. People are building bigger it's like, it used to be America, like, bigger and better, and everything
Yeah.
is bigger in America. So they're definitely building things bigger out there now. So bigger restaurants, that bigger coffee shops, bigger malls, like the malls. There was a mall down the street from our hotel that I probably visited at least 6 times in our 2 weeks there.
Really? A
Yeah,
mall.
a mall. A mall, because that's like a whole different conversation, but the shopping there, like, you could go to find the shops like how we used to,
Right.
but if you go to a mall, they have, like, stores that are kinda like Macy's-ish, so they have, like, all the different type of clothing, they'll have, like, some makeup and this and that. So they have those type of stores in the mall, and they're, chain stores, so you can find them at different malls, like, multiple different malls. They have home goods stores now. That was really cool to see,
Home
like,
goods?
home goods, t
Like
like,
the actual home goods.
not the actual home goods, but, like,
Okay.
stores where you can buy home goods,
Okay, okay.
and, like, decorations for your house. Like, I
Okay.
never saw that before.
No, yeah. You would go to,
Um,
like, the little streets to be able to find any of that kinda stuff.
yeah, and then
Mhm.
I saw, like, in the mall was, like, the American Tourister bags, like, a
Yeah.
whole shop just for American Tourister bags
Oh,
dedicated to that brand.
yeah.
Um, and I know because I had to buy a bag. Uh, and, like, makeup shops, kinda like Sephora, a whole shop just for pajamas, so a lot of
Interesting, yeah.
specialized shops and American Mall style shops that were in an actual mall. And then the mall had a food court, so
I hear,
in all
like, malls are, like,
enclosed.
huge with the food courts everywhere.
I mean, so the mall that I was going to, everyone's like, "That's the biggest and best mall here." But
Yeah.
if you look at the size of it, it is, like, much smaller than any American mall. But for
Okay.
India standards, it's like, "Oh my
It was
gosh, it's
big.
so big." Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, at least you still got to do some of that. I mean, I know you still experience, like, bargaining and going into the shops and still enjoying, but, I think that's one of the biggest things where it's like what things are changing. Do you feel like the world is kind of valuing our culture or, like, cherry picking certain things? I know you said it's like the airport seems more modern, the mall seems more modern. So, like, do you think it's like certain things that they're picking from where it's like, look, we're trying to have like American malls or like not even American, but Western malls? Or do you think it's just certain things? And is it from like our cultural things, do you think? Did you see any of that kind of stuff out there as well, where it's like picking and choosing? Yeah.
Uh, and this is the first time I'm really going, as I guess I've been as an adult, but I never noticed a lot of this stuff. But this is the first time I went and I noticed the propaganda, for example. There was, like, blatant propaganda, like, billboards in Ahmedabad. Um, I'm not gonna say what, but I guess I
Like,
will.
give an idea. I know
So,
you don't
for
want to say,
example,
but
while we were there, I think the prime minister of Germany, or one of the, like, ministers from Germany, was visiting Ahmedabad, and so they had, like, huge billboards, like, "Welcome," I forgot his name, but "Welcome blah blah blah," and it was, like, a picture of him and a picture of Narendra Modi, and they were just, like, huge, like, billboards all over the city of Ahmedabad to, like, welcome this guy, but it also made it look like, "Oh my gosh, like, the government is doing so much." But you
oh, like
talk
for
to the
providing for
people.
their people.
Yeah, they're providing, like, so much. Like, that's what it felt like, and you can tell, like, when you get out of the airport even, um, they have entire areas, like, you can tell behind that wall is probably a slum. And so that whole area is, like, walled off with, like, really nice walls and, like, murals and stuff, but you can tell if you, like, look really closely, the other
Yeah.
side of that is probably not that nice. And I don't say that's propaganda, I guess it's just, like, beautifying the city or beautifying
Yeah.
the country, right? Um, and part of it is people wanna blame the government, and the government wants to blame the people, and
Mhm.
it's a common theme that you see in not just India, it's a common theme you see all over Europe, in America. in the Latin countries. You see that common theme. It's a global theme.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm a nosy person, so I would talk to some of the Uber people, like, because I'm a millennial mom and I can
Yeah.
do that without feeling ick. And I would talk to them and I'd ask them, like, hey, how do you feel about, you know, the situation in this country, or like like, how do you feel about hearing news about America, just to hear their
Yeah.
opinions, because we're just so sheltered in our country in a way
Mhm.
of like we're only hearing Democratic opinions, or we're only hearing Republican opinions,
Yeah.
and algorithms are really sheltering people
Yes.
to opinions of other people, and to just opening your eyes and being a little bit more mindful, or compromising even. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, so I'm asking these questions. And so some of the people, like the Uber guys, were like, yeah, we're loving what Narendra Modi is doing, but a common majority was that they, some of these Uber drivers aren't well off. They're not from the middle class or the upper middle class.
Mhm.
And so you can tell that there's a huge gap in India of the lower, like, people that are not wealthy, and then the people that have money, and people that are not wealthy are the ones that are driving those cars, and they're feeling that gap
Yeah.
basically. And they're like, the government's not doing enough. Like, for example, they'll open up road construction,
Uh-huh.
or like they'll open up these huge projects, but they're not safe. They're not considering safety of people. They're not considering, like, these projects just stay open for a long time, but people that are visiting, they're like, oh, look, the work is getting done, but they're not here to see that it's been getting done for like 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
But on the flip side of it, I've seen, like, I think I'm not huge into Indian politics, but I know in the beginning when Narendra Modi was like elected, he had like huge campaigns of cleaning up India, right?
Mm,
And
yeah.
there's like levels to that. So part of India, and I know this because I'm a nerd and I looked it up, like, why does the sunset in India just look so dusty? And it's dusty and it looks like pollution, but it's actually the dust in India. It's not actual pollution. And the dust is what's in the air. So you see those people like sweeping the streets,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Here, all of our roads are paved. So that's why you don't see the dust. But over there, not all of the roads are paved. So that's why you see the dust and it's constantly blowing up in the air. So if you're paving those roads, that dust will eventually go away. But
Yeah. But everything's just
India is a
left, yeah.
huge country. Like, not everything's paved still.
Right.
If you're in the city, it's
Majority.
all paved. But
Yeah.
if you're in the countryside and the farms, you don't have paved roads out there.
Right.
Or it'll be like one lane is paved and the other lane's not paved, and
Yeah.
people are just driving freely on it, right?
Yeah.
Uh, that's a government problem. But things like putting trash into garbage cans, like, I would see people walking down the road and just throw trash on the side.
I know. I'm
And
only smiling because it's like I remember where it's like you just throw it out the window, or throw it out.
that's the cultural norm. And
Yeah.
people that go from here, like, I don't know about, I'm hoping my generation and younger
Yeah.
are a little bit more responsible about the earth, right? So even when we were kids, we wouldn't throw stuff out the window. I would always like yell at whoever was with us and be like,
Right.
"No, just hold on to your trash and we'll
Yeah.
throw it out in a trash can, or like, let's make a trash bag."
Mhm.
Um and if I see trash there, I wasn't going to just go pick up trash, but I was going to find a trash can and put my trash in the trash can.
At least there, yeah.
So that responsibility comes from people as individuals and
Mhm.
having pride in their country. And if you go to their homes are really clean. They're not
Yeah.
living like that. You
Yeah.
go into the boundary of their home and their yard is super clean and like all that,
Yeah.
But then these are wealthy people that are just comfortable throwing stuff out the window. And that to me is a civic responsibility problem.
Yeah.
So the question that you had asked was, I guess, um, do you feel like the world is kind of cherry picking our
Yeah.
India? And I do feel like that, because it's based on the influencer that's there, or the travel blogger, whatever, that's going there. Like,
Yeah.
what do they want to show? Do they want to show the really nice side of India that's really developing, that feels like nice city areas like Gift City or Gandhinagar and the roads were really nice? Or are they showing on purpose the parts where people are throwing the trash on the street?
Yeah.
And I think that in a way, it's a little bit controversial to say this, but in a way that of them showing um the garbage parts,
Yeah.
it's I mean, those parts are no different than other countries. Like
Well, of course.
there are parts like that in Mexico. We go to all these
Thailand.
places around the world and there's
Yeah.
parts like that, but I feel like it's extra highlighted about India. And in a way, I'm like, good, show that because then maybe people that are actually living there will start taking some more responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
I literally saw a guy, there's a trash can. He attempted to throw it in the trash, it fell on the floor, and he just kept walking. So if you see a trash can out there, you'll see more trash around the side of the trash can than actually in the trash can.
Yeah.
And me and Mina are just looking at each other like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I can't even send my kid to go throw trash in the trash can because they're not going to be able to reach because the pile of trash outside of the trash
Trash
can
is in
is
the
so
way.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny you say that because if you look at other still same Asian countries, right? And they're taking responsibility. Like, for example, like Japan, right? Where it's like you're not throwing trash. They're very proper about how you're dividing even your trash, how recycling is, what goes in what trash. And to think, like, even here in the States, right? Like, can we ever get to that point, right? Here, at least in California, certain counties now are like even doing separating with like food, right? Like what food waste is gonna get
Hey, you
recycled
froze
and
on
things
me.
like that, where I'm like, eventually we will, but there's still so many people that are just so against it. But I kind of agree with you. I think, when it comes to like propaganda and what they're picking and choosing to show, it's like, yes, there's some people who are just like, oh my God, it's so dirty. But then it's like, well, show also the nicer parts because you just didn't end up going there because it was dirty. Something sent you there. You saw the beauty behind it in some reel or one way or another, but it's like, what are you going to get more views for? Right. And that's what you're showing. And I think that's where it's like, show both. Right. And kind of equally value that. And I agree with you. I feel like maybe if they do show it, then it's like the government can step up and be like, there's things that we have to do. We have to finish those projects because a lot of the times and what a lot of people say is they are telling people like, we're going to build these roads during election time, right? We're going to put these new poles up for electricity. And they talk about it during election time only. And then 2 years down the road, it's like, what happened to the electricity you promised us, right? So I feel like those are a lot of things that, you think about politics even on our side here, and it's like you're promising all these things, but what are you really giving, right? And I think that's anywhere that you actually look at. But
That was one of the things. Like the electricity did go out a couple of times in a couple of places that we were at.
yeah. And it's everywhere, right?
Wi-Fi, and it's kind of so it was interesting because if you're in Ahmedabad, the city of Ahmedabad, there's 5G everywhere in Ahmedabad.
Okay.
But you go outside of Ahmedabad, you go to Gandhinagar and you don't have 5G.
Yeah. It's where they want it to
So
be.
it's where they want it to be, and it's a government contract
Hmm.
to Geo, which is owned by the Ambanis. And so like why not expand that to like everywhere?
Yeah.
I hope that's on their agenda. I know it's expensive.
Yeah.
I was really excited to have credit cards everywhere
Yeah.
in the city, but then the credit cards aren't in the smaller towns. Only some places in the smaller towns will have credit cards.
Yeah.
So it was nice to like just swipe, swipe,
And you don't have to worry about it.
and
Yeah.
you don't have to worry
Or
about it. But
carry
then,
the
huh?
wad. Carry the
Yeah,
wad.
carry the wad. Yeah. So, but then there were again where I shopped was all over the place because I didn't know where I wanted to go or what I didn't have a guide of shopping, and I wrote it down all these places to so I can tell the next person who's going to Ahmedabad and Gujarat to like here's where you can go get this and here's where you can go get this because I could have looked it up as a
Yeah.
proper guide, but I was just kind of asking word of mouth and like doing that kind of stuff.
Getting the local vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, just getting the local vibe. One thing I will say is when you're growing up, yeah, it's NRI season in December and
Yes.
January
Yeah. December, January.
because people had like school vacations and stuff, holidays, right? But I think now a lot more people visit during those months, and
Hmm.
literally all the shops have NRI pricing and signs everywhere.
Oh,
So,
I'm
like,
sure.
fixed rates everywhere, no
Oh, no,
bargaining,
yeah, no, I remember you telling me like there nobody
um,
negotiates.
nobody's negotiating, just higher prices too. And
Yeah,
I know that because I've talked to a friend who sent me to this one store, and I'm like, "The store sucks, like, I don't know why you sent me there."
yeah,
And she's like, "No, we went in August, and the clothes we got in August were really, really nice, and what they're doing is during the December, January season, they're getting rid of all their old
inventory.
things that they inventory that they couldn't sell because they know NRIs are coming and somebody's gonna buy it,
Somebody's gonna buy it because they
and
want
they're gonna
it.
buy it for full price."
Yeah,
Yeah,
or more, basically.
yeah. So,
That's
note to
interesting.
self and note to everyone who's listening, if you're gonna go shopping in India, do not go during NRI season, which is November, December, January, February.
January. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Do you think, like, obviously you going now as an adult, um, and having that experience, do you think it was different when you were growing up, like as you were growing up, the
Yeah,
experiences that you have now?
for sure, because growing up, all of our trips relied around traveling a lot. Like, we would not be in one place more than 3 or 4 days, to be honest, in any of our trips, and, um, there was a lot of, like, "Okay, we're gonna go to this Mandir, and then we're gonna go to this Mandir," or, like, "We're gonna go see the Taj Mahal, or we're gonna go see the Red Fort in Agra." Um, and so it's just a lot of sightseeing that happened, and this trip, I guess I made it and I planned it in a way that we were just gonna stay in one spot for the majority of the time, and it's because I wanted the kids to just start getting used to everything there because they're so little.
Right.
I think in the future, I would have a much more, like, let's keep moving and seeing trip. But yeah, so this trip just felt like after I had budgeted ourselves to have 4 sick days, 4 or 5 sick days, to so to
Uh,
speak.
yeah.
Because me going back after 10 years and Minish going back after 10 years and kids being so little, I was like, guaranteed we're all gonna get sick.
Yeah.
And thank God none of us did.
Yeah.
But the last 4 or 5 days of our trip felt like a drag because of that.
Yeah. Because you're like, now what?
Because you're like, now what? Yeah. So in the future, definitely shorter trip, uh, and a little bit more like on the road
Yeah.
because we felt like we were cooped up in the hotel after a while.
Right.
So
That makes sense. I mean, so one of the things I think people sometimes struggle with is the feeling that, I'm fully American, I've been born here, but you still have like deep cultural ties. Like you still want to keep a lot of ties to your country, right? Um, how do you feel about that? Like, what are your thoughts on that, especially since you just came back? Did that change?
no, that didn't change. If anything, it's strengthened. I'm proud to be from my having heritage from another country. I think everyone should have that pride of, hey, I used to joke about this when I was a kid, or not a kid. I was like probably a teenager and in college, but I used to kind of joke about it like, I would love to have mixed babies with people because then they get to have all these beautiful like mixed babies are so beautiful because I read some Nat Geo. I'm such a nerd, but I read some Nat Geo article a bajillion years ago that was like when you have more cultural or like more ethnic backgrounds of DNA, it's correlates to your essentially a beauty score. So
That's
people
interesting.
who are mixed babies are more beautiful. So I was just such a vain kid, and I read this article, and my nerdy self was like, "I'm gonna have mixed babies."
Yeah,
Do not have mixed babies. My babies are 100% Indian. They are still very beautiful. Um, but I think that it's important to acknowledge where you're from. But I also so I love that part. I love, you know, showing my culture in America, even if I have never lived in India. What I don't appreciate though is when I told a lot of people, obviously, in my industry and friends and whatever that I'm going to India. And the first assumption that everybody made and everybody asked the first question. So if you're listening to this, by the way, and you asked me this question, I was actually offended when you asked me this question. The first question that everybody asked was, "Oh, are you going to visit family there?"
But I mean, why would you get offended? You are Indian.
I
The
am
assumption is
Indian.
maybe you do have family there, right? Maybe you didn't originate there, but maybe your parents did or their parents. So fair enough question. Why were you offended? Explain that.
I was offended because if somebody's telling me, like, "Oh, I'm going to go visit Italy or I'm going to go visit Germany," my first question to them isn't, "Oh, are you going to visit family there?"
Okay.
But you're just asking me that question because I'm Indian and I have full Indian blood. So you're just assuming automatically that I have family in India. No, I
Yes.
actually don't have family in India. And no, actually, the family I do have in India all are American and live here and have vacation homes in India. That's different.
Yeah. You know what? Okay, fine. Taking a look if I take a step back and see it from like your perspective on that, I do understand why you would, right? Because I kind of do think about it. Like if we are like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go." It's like if we were going to Mexico or something, right? It's like, "Oh, do you have family in Mexico?" No, I'm going because that's like it's fun. Like I just want to
Yeah.
see another place, or
Yeah.
rightfully so when I'm like going to other countries to like dive and things like that. I don't have family there, but I get I get where you're coming from. I see
If I
that.
said if I said to them, "Oh, I'm going home,"
Yes.
then I expect that question of, "Oh, are you going to visit family there?"
Right.
But I never said I'm going home. I always
Yeah.
said I'm going to visit India.
True. Okay. I get it.
So
I understand you
I
don't tell
was
me. I get
offended by all these
it.
people just assuming that I had family there. Like, I'm an immigrant. I'm a child of an immigrant. I'm not an immigrant, but I'm a child of an immigrant. That doesn't automatically mean that I have family there, though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Don't gotta get so feisty with me. I know we said 100% feels, but like, cálmate, okay?
I'm just saying,
Okay.
like,
I understand. I'm when you're explaining it to me, I understand. I
it
understand
is
what
a
you're saying.
microaggression. It's a microaggression that people aren't aware of, even. But it is a microaggression.
I mean, I see your point of view, and I understand what you're saying because it wouldn't be anybody else
Like,
ethnically.
why
I
would
think
you?
a lot of people would have that question, right? Like, oh, do you have
Yeah,
family there? Yeah.
it's just an automatic assumption that you made about me
Yeah.
because of my skin color.
Right.
And the
Your
fact that I'm
name or
claiming to
whatever it
be
might be.
or the
Yeah.
fact that I'm claiming to be an Indian American. It's an automatic assumption. That's not fair because I can go to a number of people I know and I know their backgrounds because I can see their last names. Some of their
Yeah.
last names are Polish or some of their last names are Italian. And I can go to them and say like, "Oh, you're visiting Europe? Are you going to go visit family?"
Yeah.
But I would never say that.
Yeah.
I would say, "Oh, what are you going to go see? And where are you staying?"
I understand. Get it. You guys, I'm gonna ask her another question because this is kind of all feisty. I'm just kidding. But on that note, I know there were a lot of things that you saw and things that you enjoyed, but out of everything, what was that one moment that really, stuck out to you where you're like, okay, this is either amazing or this is not amazing, but what was that small everyday moment that you were just like, you know what? This was worth it, or this trip was special because X, Y, and Z happened.
Say I what stuck out to me is just how laid back everybody is there. You wake up 8 o'clock in the morning, sun's out, cars are honking, whatever. But you don't really get to work until 11 because I'm monitoring like what time these stores are opening. So Google Maps is pretty prevalent there too, which was awesome. But I'm like checking like what time do these stores open or what time can we go to eat or
Hmm.
whatever. And a lot of places don't open until 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then some of the places will even close down for an hour or two. And then they'll open up in the evening and then they'll go till late night. And so just how laid back it was, it just gave me this whole vibe of a European vibe. And I don't know if that's just India's remnants of colonialism showing,
Right.
but I appreciated it. I liked how laid back everything was, because over here I wake up in the morning and I'm like literally
Go,
on
go,
the
go.
phone with agents and clients while I'm trying to get my kids ready for daycare.
Yeah.
And it's like it starts at 6:30 in the morning for me.
Yeah. It's
And it
definitely a
it
different
doesn't
life.
it doesn't end until like I'm sending emails at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's just a very different life, and that's something that it was an everyday thing, and I just felt, even if I was working a lot from there because of our 12 and a half hour time difference, despite having a full workload in front of me, I still felt like, okay, I feel relaxed.
Right. Okay. I mean, so I know kind of along that topic, right? There's like you said, your workday here starts at 6:30. That's your time, right? And over there it starts a little bit different. Do you think this trip kind of shifted your perspective on like how South Asian women are expected to balance life and family and personal well-being? Like how did you think that played out there? Like seeing some of the women out there as well compared to here?
So I know that for sure. I think that there's more women entering the workforce there, but there are a lot of women that just are stay-at-home people still. And so their expectations of women are still a little bit, it's still a patriarchal society there, I think, very much so. You go to the regular shops that we would visit in the towns, for example, clothing shops and uh well, that's all I went to pretty much, so clothing shops. But actually I got my glasses there. I got super cool glasses there. Anyways, you go to the shops, and a majority of the shops, like no matter which shop you go to, that's a local, more of like a local small shop, it had all men in it. So your mukwas shops, for example, men. Your pan shops are all men. Your uh glasses places, out of all of the staff I saw there, there was like 5 people, one was female.
Yeah.
Out of the clothing stores that I went to in the local shops, like there's men, and the men are selling the women's clothing.
Saris. Mhm.
Yeah, the men are selling the women's clothing, right? So there's
Yeah.
the whole shop. I went to this one shop, and I went there after I went to these other shops, so it was like the tail end of my budget
Yeah.
shopping trip, shopping budget. And I went there and I'm like, why didn't I come here first? Because everything, I want everything in the store,
Right.
but the entire upstairs, downstairs, all men. To me, growing up, it was just weird. Like, why is this man selling me stuff? But now I'm
Yeah.
looking at it, I'm like, why aren't more women doing this?
Yeah. It is different.
If you go to the bigger places, like the bigger shops and the bigger areas that are more NRI centered, or the malls, you do see more women in the workplace. Like in the mall, for example, the mall was a majority was a female staff in the mall.
Kind of
So
raises the
that,
question of like, do you think that is because of like safety? You know what I mean? Like being in an environment where the mall is, in my mind, a little bit safer than going to like an alley, going down the alley looking for a shop that you're going to go to. Like, do you think that kind of played a role into it? And considering like this, considering the safety of women and how comfortable they are and perception, right? I think
I
the
don't,
biggest thing is like perception.
well, all those women were younger women too. So you
Uh
don't,
huh.
I didn't see somebody in their 40s and 50s in those malls. It
Okay.
was all women that were in their like 20s,
Yeah.
probably 20s and early 30s. So I think it's just a matter of like modernization. So these young women want to work in modern places and are getting these opportunities.
Yeah.
But if they're going to go to a local shop, they're going to be like, no, we don't need help,
Right. Right.
because the local shops are still very patriarchal and they're all family owned, for
Yeah.
example. So the
And I,
men are at the shops while the women are at home tending to the kids.
yeah. And I think there is a difference, um, when it comes to even the women doing things just for themselves, right? Where it comes to taking care of their health or extracurricular activities, right? Just what they're doing is very different out there too. But I feel like you said, it's the younger generation. I feel like now they are branching out to that where they're like, no, I want to take dance classes. So I am. I want to go to the gym. So I am. And I think that's really important. For women to really get that opportunity and really focus on their health and balancing just not the home life. Um, But with that being said, I know we talked a lot about India, and this is something that we're going to touch on our next episode, is really balancing life, right? Especially when it comes to women, our health, our mental
Yeah.
health, everything
Yeah.
is kind of what we want to dive into. So I definitely hope you guys all join us again for our next episode, and we will hopefully be back sooner than later. But we will talk to you guys soon, and thank you so much.
I mean, yes, thank you for listening to my rants about India. It's one of those places that I'm like, I can definitely move there. I can see that. But it's not a right now move. Like if you, I don't know if you can see, there's back there. Um, there's a poster of like our family goals, I think, and it's not on our goal sheet for the next 5 years. But I think that down the road, maybe in the next 15 years, it's something that I would consider as having a vacation house there.
Yeah, at least doing some
Uh,
time there.
yeah, and it was kind of nice because I I got to speak a lot of Hindi,
Huh? Brush
and I
up.
don't speak Hindi here.
Yeah.
If I speak anything, I do speak Gujarati
Yes.
in the house, but it's nice that you get to brush up on your Hindi. So I have, and like I said, it's nice that I get to know that I'm from another country and be trilingual.
Yeah.
Um, some people even know more languages, and I'm in awe. I love it. Like the
Yeah.
that's like more people that you can reach and connect with. Uh, but our next episode, you guys, we're literally going to get off of this podcast right now and look at our calendars, you guys. I'm not kidding.
We're gonna do it because we've been called out. Like, what are you guys doing? You're supposed to release an episode every month, and we heard you. We made it happen today, and we are definitely going to try to get another episode out soon. So thank you guys so much again for joining, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye.